whatever. You started recording already? Okay, whatever. So, hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Mihran from Mihran's Orbit. Now, it's kind of complicated to explain the situation. Let's go to the history a little bit. Let's go build a time machine. So, before way long ago, like let's go here. Why is the USSR on the world map? No, we have to go even farther. No, not at the time of the Russian Empire. On the time of the Kievan Rus. The Kievan Rus was centered around Kiev, the main city of Russia. You can see it everywhere. The Kiev is like the most seen word in English for now because of those things. Whatever. So now that we have gotten to the time of the Kievan Rus, I think we can insert this, right? So it was around here. I cannot show it. Okay, can you please zoom in around here? It was like here. So that's like the area of the Kievan Rus. So the Kievan Rus, first of all. So the Kievan Rus stretch all the way for Karelia. I don't know what, I think that's called Karelia, whatever. And all the way down to Ukraine. It was like a few states between the Russians and the Ukrainians. Basically, that was what the center of Russia was before the Mongols invaded. But after the Mongols invaded, even though the Kievan Rus' direct descendant wasn't Russia, well, fun fact, another country, but it was in fact like the bringer of Russian nationalism. Like there could be a country like Russia that could stay around here, and that's what eventually led to the tribes that expanded west and create the Tsardom of Russia. Essentially, the Kievan Rus was indirectly the bringer of Russia. So that's why they're trying to get their history. Now, in the 18th century, Russia gained a lot of lands here. So when they got all of that land, they got Little Russia or / Small Russia. This is this area, and that's what they call Little Russia. And this area basically was like the area of the Kievan Rus, in case you didn't know. But basically, this area was where where like a lot of the protests happened on communism and stuff. How a lot of the wars happened. This was the main front line in Europe. It was a buffer zone. It had a lot of properties. So this is, in case you don't know, this picture right here that's shown right around here. I know, and then this just shows how undeveloped it was, but it also became a little bit more developed since they were building a hydro dam. I can't really show anything in the map. It was around here, whatever. But basically, what it's showing us is that it was undeveloped, but it was also built in the 1930s, meaning the Soviets were doing a little bit good job, but there was a famine, and I don't like that famine. Like they were trying to export it with capitalist nations, all the wheat to gain money, and well, that ended up really badly with the famine because all of that was from Ukraine, and guess what? No people survived. And that brings us to our next image. Please put it in the editor. It's the starving man image. It shows how much the famine really went and how much undeveloped it was. Now the next one is the regional diversity. I can't really tell anything about this except that there's a lot of Russians living around here, like the western part, like where I'm pointing to, and a lot of Romanians living around here, and also a lot of Slovaks and a lot of I don't know what that ethnicity is. Polish, I guess. A lot of you guys are gonna laugh at me. Russia, ever since it has gone so big, has always tried to protect Moscow or St. Petersburg by creating buffer zones, BZs. As you can see, can you zoom in here? As you can see, BZs are here, here, here. They always tried to build more in Europe because Europe was closer to Moscow. And they also tried to build these buffer zones. They didn't really care about this, but now the main core of Russia, which is like here, is getting exposed mostly to the outside world. It's kind of like, imagine a human body. After some time, a wound will develop, and it's seen as a threat by the blood cells. So they try to destroy it. And this is what Russia is doing. In reaction to the breakup of the Soviet Union and all of that buffer zones getting destroyed, they immediately started building up allies. So let's just show this. Basically, whenever you see a blue border, it's Russia. Except for these. These ones are not Russia. You should be very clear, these ones are not Russia. These are just border fixes. Whatever. So this is Russia, and these are the countries that are tied to Russia. And then this symbol, which is kind of like a double X, is the former Soviet Union that are not part of any of these conflicts. And Ukraine is just one more. So this is Ukraine, and this is Donetsk and Rotsk. I can't pronounce it. Just insert the real, like, I don't know how to pronounce it. Whatever. Now there's multiple countries that joined Russia because they're like the gatekeeper of the Soviet Union technically. So Belarus and the entirety of Turkestan, that was former Soviet, also joined. And and then a lot of countries here joined NATO instead to fight Russia. So it's like the opposite response. These guys would have also done that. But since, well, if you can't defeat your enemy, then you kind of have to join them. That's the old saying. And thus a lot of these countries had to join. And a lot of these countries, mostly Ukraine, were affected by this. Let's just look at Crimea. I'm not going to join. Okay, yeah, this is Crimea. We are going to say it. Russian troops came down here and started occupying the land. And eventually they said a peace deal where there would be the Republic of Crimea. But after a lot of time, a referendum happened with 97% of people joining Russians. They wanted to join Russia, and that's what's clearly going to happen with Donetsk and Rostov. I can't pronounce it. That one I can't pronounce. So these guys are going to just become their own republics, and then eventually they're just going to join Russia. So that's it. And immediately troops are coming into Russia. President Putin, or the leader of Russia, we are just going to say leader of Russia. The leader of Russia actually said that we were going to help these countries out against their war with Ukraine, which is true because they said that they recognize this. So what they're thinking is they're not putting troops into Ukraine, they're putting troops into Ukraine they're not putting troops into Ukraine, they're helping out the Republic of Donetsk and I can't pronounce. I'll just say the Republic of POT, okay, ROT, whatever, whatever. Republic of Rot to join, to give the vehicles and army vehicles too, so they can help out in the war. They're like, oh well, this is definitely not gonna give me help, and they're just like, well, we are gonna give this, and they say Nazis and why? I don't understand. Whatever. So basically, this is the situation now, and with Belarus joining the war, and by joining the war I mean giving vehicles, that's made even worse. Currently, they don't control the entirety of this. They control like this part, so like they don't have that much threat. But what they're getting here is they're not only creating that buffer zone between Moscow, they're also kind of building up their strength and uniting all ethnic Russians. That's mainly their goal here. As you can see by the world power mark, they've gone down all the way for tied first place, all the way to third place via the fall of the Soviet Union. Putin was actually born during the Soviet Union, and he had to see the country collapse, and thus he's trying to build this back. I will say with Ukraine's intentions, I think we should hear about Ukraine, because the true thing about Ukraine is that it's getting invaded by a neighbor who thinks they're doing the right thing. And what many ministers have said in Russia is they want to say that please give us this land, we could form peace agreements. They've said that, but Putin took it wrong and thought that this meant an invasion. Now, not an invasion, he said it's deploying troops anyways, but if you look at any world map against any world map on the 197 members of UN, as you can see, there is currently these parts to Ukraine. They're not an independent nation. And what this means is that Russia's essentially saying, if I put troops in here, and then thus the classification comes in. The classification of an invasion is to put troops in another nation without asking with the permission. So what they're essentially doing is an invasion according to all of the other 196 members of the UN. So this is getting pretty worse in every day. This is the first day ever, and as you can see, Russia invades Ukraine is gotten on every area. Like, look, organized means starts with Ukraine. You can clearly see in every area it said invades. Even though Russia thinks it's not invading, it's just helping out in the war. But this is clearly saying that it's an invasion because it's saying the president of Belarus to do it, who is cooped obviously by the Russians. I mean authoritarian, whatever. So China has already gone up because of the Soviet Union's fall, and that's the main problem. Russia sees itself as a secondary ally. Basically, Russia and China, okay, I should remove the USSR, it's too confusing now. Russia and China are allies during this scenario, right? And the US and the European Union are allies, right? Well, weird. It's kind of weird. Basically, the only reason that Russia hasn't made itself relations with US and has become an ally against China, the only reason that has happened is because it needs to regain the buffer zones to become strong again. The Russian bear needs to strike back. Okay, that was a cool face. Okay, can we add like more sounds? So like, the Russian bear strikes back. Yeah, that works. Okay. So then when they get those buffer lands back, they'll be obviously allied with the US. Meaning, officially, they would defend against China. This will make China in a sticky situation where the first place and third place powers all are united against the second place power. This is not gonna go well for China. And China knows that. So what China is essentially gonna have to do very soon in the future is try to secretly prevent this to happen. They prevent more future conflicts as like a peace talk. They're saying, why are you prohibiting the peace of the world? Kind of like the US. And then they use it to their advantage because then they can keep allies. So they keep Russia while the US keeps the EU. Still a basic match because against Russia and China, US doesn't stand a chance. Also, the EU in remarks also can actually beat them. It's a pretty fair mark. So that's it, I think, for today. We'll be having more clips here than normal, but whatever. So bye bye everyone. Make sure to hit that like button, share this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And this is me out. And hopefully nobody records their video accidentally again.